Blam. What's up, everybody? Back again, Warp Charge Gaming, here with James, and I'm George, and it is Thursday night at 9 o'clock, at least Eastern Standard Time, 8 o'clock in James's time in Antioch, Illinois.
Oh, dude, loving the jersey, bro.
Yeah. Dude, I got this sweet thing you haven't seen yet, too. I'll try to show the camera. I got this, somebody made me a necklace out of our dice, bro. So nice of them. So I'm wearing one of the Warp Charge dice on a necklace now, loving it.
That's dope.
Yeah, it's a really nice gift. I gave them some dice. They gave me a present back. It was really cool.
I'm not much of a necklace guy, but that's still cool.
Yeah, it
would be cooler if it was like an epic roll that like one you would like the top table at a big ass tournament, and that's the one you wore. Like you could have some cool story behind it.
That would be cool. Let's see here. Okay, so I almost messed up everything, but I did not. Trying to look at the comments going on out there, our friends that are joining us. We got to make an effort to talk to our friends that join us live, because we sure do appreciate the people that come and say hi when we're tuned in here. But the word is we're trying to get organized with our format here, and I want to give a quick heads up to what this episode is going to be generally about. First off, the standard, we're going to just go over the news of everything going on with Warp Charge here at Battlegrounds in Midlothian, Virginia, where we're streaming live from. You might hear some background noise. It's a poppin' Thursday night as people play all kinds of games. And then James and I are going to go back and forth some different subject matters we come up over the week. I know that I'm really excited to talk about Age of Sigmar. James has been doing all kinds of projects for tournaments he's got going on. We'll show you some cool things going on there. Slanesh has all kinds of leaks coming out from GW on the community page we want to talk about. Chaos in general is always a big subject matter on Warp Charge. I'm sure you'll hear a lot of that. And then tournaments. So we're generally going to be discussing that kind of stuff today. But first, let's give them some news, James. So,
dude,
yeah.
All Is Dust has said it. Happy year. It's 52 episodes.
Bam,
I decided to get that off.
Yeah, that is the news.
Right away. That's the news.
That is the news. It is episode 52. We are 1 year deep, and All Is Dust is someone we've seen many times. Thank you for being here, buddy, and thanks for the well wishes. That's a great feeling, and something that we were talking about, James and I, last week that we are not officially ready for yet, but we're about to be. We're about to go live with a Patreon, and where that sounds like we're going to be going live with a way for you to give us money. It's really, I'm more excited for the way that we're going to be able to give back to our hardcore fans. We have a great giveaway system set up. We're going to be doing multiple giveaways a month at high value items, starting off with a Roboto Gilliman that's fully painted by the illustrious James Schaff and magnetized. And we've been holding on to that since the inception of Warp Charge, a year and a half now. October 17th of 2017 was our very first video.
Oh yeah.
Now we're a couple hundred deep, 52 episodes of consistent weekly talk shows. Hell yeah, we made it. So feeling great about that, and things have really just continued to pick up and pick up. Honestly, the amount of events that we're throwing is a big part of what we do now. And we started in February our very first tournament league. So that's a big part of the news. Battle in the Warp tournament series. We're in season 1, and we're about to do our 4th tournament. We're rocking back. We're going to go back and forth between a doubles event. James and I both love doubles. I think a lot of people love doubles events, getting to play with their homies. So that's coming up May 4th. We honestly did May 4th doubles because May the 4th be with you. It's a big Star Wars weekend, and we need to share some space here in Battlegrounds, reduce a little bit of table action. Then after that, every month now, Warp Charge is doing 4 tournaments at Battlegrounds pretty much. We're doing Kill Team and 40K every month, and while we have a 40K league, we also have a Kill Team league. What's extremely sick about that is we have grand prizes for our tournament league winners. One of the top prizes going to the league winners for Kill Team and 40K is going to be a $200 commission voucher to Dark Bunny Creative. So that's super sick. I can't wait for the Kill Team Commander tournament. We got a bunch of sweet new mats we picked up at Adepticon. And then some of the biggest news going down is that the season 2 kickoff, we have gone live with our first major event. 2 days, 64 people. $50 a head. There's going to be $3,000 in prize support. It's going to be out of control. We'll say thousands, but it's roughly about $3K. If we can sell out the event, we've already sold more than half the tickets in less than 2 weeks. We're still months ahead. We're 30 people deep already. It's going to be out of control. We're doing 12 different prize breakdowns with 4 different tiers of where you rank. You could be a 48th place and win top 16 for the bottom bracket. Yeah, it's like 4 brackets. Really looking forward to that 2-day event. We just got a super sweet new banner. So we got all this tournaments and stuff. Here's a look at the banner design. Here's a look at what it looks like when you walk into the store. James put this together. He made this, the file is such high res that this thing could be blown up to fit on a skyscraper. Like if you pull this thing up and usually like fills up your entire screen, when you look at an image, you would look at like a small little dot of the image if you pull it up on your computer. It's such, he said he cut it in half and it was still like above 4K. He couldn't even put the thing in the damn app, but it blew up beautifully. I love the banner. It looks great here in the store. And just to keep you up with the things that went down last week, we did an Age of Sigmar Champions tournament. You've seen James and I throw down a few times on the channel here. We got a rivalry going of best champion player. James won't play anymore though because he went out on top and won't let me beat him again on camera. Prove myself. But we did do an Age of Sigmar Champions tournament, and that was a lot of fun. We had 6 people. And it was cool. And check out the display. The sweet thing is they send, like Shadespire or Underworlds, they send a great OP kit, a organized play kit. So from Play Fusion, we had all these beautiful mats of the different factions for Destruction, Chaos, Death, and the Stormcast or the Alliance, whatever they're called. Who cares about the good guys? And dude, James, check out the screen. Here's this sick Nurgle mat. I was super stoked on that. The person what actually won the newest edition of Age of Sigmar Champions came out is called Savagery, and the person that won, it was funny because before we got started, we all decided to crack a box of Savagery together. So we split a box like 6 ways and just everybody took what they wanted. And it turned out that the guy that won the tournament built his deck from the box that we all split up. And he made it out of the new Savagery cards that are Sylvaneth. Sylvaneth's the new, Nurgle and Sylvaneth are the big new factions that are being presented inside the game. And Sylvaneth is just out of control in Sigmar Champions. He ended up taking everybody down, including myself, with my Scarbrand, yeah. So that was kind of lame, but it was good for him though. It was, man, it's crazy. Like you only get 2 activations per turn in Sigmar Champions. And but it feels like with Sylvaneth, you get to do like 10 things before the other player goes, because they have kind of that way. Yeah, they feel that way too. But they actually show, like, they play cards that say get an additional action. But with the Sylvaneth, whenever they do one thing, it does all these chain reactions. They have this discard mechanic. And if you discard one of their cards, they'll have an ability that something happens when they're discarded. From being played on the board, to gaining health, to doing damage, to drawing more cards. So they'll do all these, they'll do an action to discard a card, and then their heroes will react to the discard, and the cards themselves react to the discard, and they end up doing all these multiple combinations of damage, gaining life, and putting things on the board. It's very overwhelming and very quick at just wrecking face. So that's interesting. Yeah. Pretty cool. You know, I mentioned Scarbrand. That got me thinking about you, James. I know you've been doing a lot of hobbying. You got a tournament coming up this weekend. You've been getting the new Chaos has been dropping. We've been talking about that a few times in these previous episodes, but
yeah, man. I'm not going crazy powerful Chaos. I'm really just character gaming, man. And one thing that's great about Chaos is like when you get like the apex of a Chaos army is when you get to just hero hammer, dude. Just have characters doing what characters do, and all your points are invested in them. And I get a chance to do that this weekend because I get to play with my buddy Robles, and he's going to be bringing our other buddy Simon's orcs. So he's going to have like 100 and something orcs, and I'm going to have Chaos characters floating amongst the bodies. And my idea is to warp time up the Master of Possession, and then have him summon, and then have him bring in Scarbrand, and Scarbrand charge turn 1, while boys to jump, and they charge turn 1 with all the extra attacks. So like with the boys, they're going to be getting 5 attacks apiece at strength 4, hitting on 2s with the knob banner there. So it's like it's going to be cool.
How do you think you'll be able to get Scarbrand into combat on turn 1? Because you have to stay still to be able to. You know, you can only get like 12 inches up the center off your deployment line, right?
Well, I can move, and then I can warp time, and then in the new discipline of what's it called? It's the new psychic powers that the Master Possession gets. Okay. He can then cast a psychic power to summon.
Oh,
and it's on a 5. And
man.
then he does not serve any mortal wounds on doubles or triples.
Well, that changes everything.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go like 18 inches, and then summon Scarbrand.
That's super fun.
Yeah, and that's on turn 1 with boys to jumping.
Oh,
And
that's
then if
super
we
fun.
go second and they shot some boys, we're gonna have enough CP to bring boys back like Tide Trader style, so we can have 2 units of boys and Scarbrand in their face turn 1 if we go second.
I don't remember an orc ability that lets them kind of tie to trader style. They have an ability you pick up and become
It's
a
a
full
stratagem.
unit,
It's 3 CP.
and you can pick them up and come back full strength.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Dang, these are all really fun mechanics, dude.
Right? And we're like not trying to play OP, we're just trying to play with fun mechanics.
It sounds like those mechanics can turn out to be pretty overwhelming if they're not ready for that.
They can, but if we go against a guard army that has enough shots, like the boys go away because they're super weak, and then all we have left is characters.
Yeah,
They're just gonna get popped.
You got a big mech though, right, with a custom force field?
No.
It doesn't help it doesn't help the jumping boys anyways, right?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
so we're deep striking a unit, so they come in turn 2, 9 inches away. They're going to be Evil Suns, so they get that +1, so 8-inch charges, re-rolling naturally.
Yep. One or 2 dice, which is great.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty nice. So we figure with those odds, we're going to get at least two units of boys into some stuff with hopefully Scarbrand within 6 inches.
That sounds super fun, man. Scarbrand giving extra attacks. That's the whole like fundamental of my 40K list right now is just running a buttload of bloodletters and giving them extra attacks. I honestly often don't even fight with Scarbrand just because I just love him as a buff character. Of course you'll fight with him if you need to avoid being shot. So, so you can tag, so you can try to hide out. But
well, what's nice is his like holding things in combat tactic.
Yes.
If you get into something that he necessarily can't kill turn 1, that it can't even hurt him, like a big vehicle, for instance.
Yeah.
It's great because you could tie it in combat and not be shot. And
what kind of leadership do vehicles typically have?
I think a leadership. It depends on like the army, but either like a 9 or a 10.
Yeah, really. You would think so, but yeah.
Yeah, but what's nice is with flyers, if they're just in range, not necessarily in combat with him, they could be trapped also. So I have my Jump Lord, or the Chain Lord, that not everyone knows about. I thought the whole internet knew, but I posted my model when I finished it in
I saw
a chaos group, and not everyone knew. They were like, "What?"
Yeah, people were debating like the stats and which one was actually the most powerful, and there was a few people that definitively shut down the naysayers and were like, "No, double chain guy is definitely better." I got an image of him too, James. So you'll have to talk about both his rules and let's talk about the job you did on making him so awesome looking. I got to post it up now.
Someone wrote a beautiful Reddit article on this dude breaking down all the math of the new Chaos Lord loadouts of like the new Smash Lord, having the Executioner, all these extra little things that like we just got that can just mow units down. And what comes out the winner math-wise is the Double Chain Lord. He's a Black Legion, has to be your Warlord, and to have the Warlord trait, Flames of Spite, it gives you a mortal wound on a 6 to wound. And then you take the new Relic Chain Sword that they just got in the Vigilus book, and that does also a mortal wound on a 6. But it's also neg 3 AP, flat 2 damage. And it gives you 2 additional attacks with using that Chain Sword. And then you get an extra attack with the other Chain Sword for a chance for the mortal wounds. So you're getting 7 attacks with the special Chain Sword, 1 attack with a normal Chain Sword that still does mortal wounds on 6s. You're re-rolling all your hits, and then if they're Imperium, you're getting exploding 6s. But what you do is you put Veterans of the Long War on them, so 5s and 6s are going to be doing 2 mortal wounds plus additional damage.
Whew. Yeah, I've been hearing something like you can bust out 31 wounds on a night as how powerful it is.
If they go ham, they can definitely wreck some things. I'm not giving prescience. I don't think it's needed, to be honest, unless they have a negative modifier, because you're already hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s. But one that you can use is the Dark Apostles +1 to wounds, so you're doing the mortal wounds on 4s. But the problem is your bubble of the Dark Apostle, he has to be wholly within the 6 inches. So obviously, with him being a jump pack, Dark Apostle doesn't have a jump pack. It's very difficult to make that full
Well, yeah,
trifecta Super Saiyan go off.
Let me ask you about that. You said Holy Within. Is that like how it's written? Is it Holy Within?
Yeah,
6?
a lot of the Dark Apostles bubbles are wholly within 6 inches.
The reason I find that so interesting, and a lot of what we're going to talk about just going forward, is I've been hooked on Sigmar, and that's a huge mechanic in Sigmar. And they actually went from 1.0 to 2.0, and as new books got updated into the newer edition, a lot of that was all about adding Holy Within into the army. And when you look at older code battle tomes in Sigmar, they still don't have the update to Holy Within. And the new Khorne book, the Blades of Khorne book that just dropped, that was the update. And a lot of the rules they were relatively the same thing. They just made them Holy Within. So it's a lot different thought process than 40K on the average when you're trying to think about being Holy Within, and when you're trying to get used to it transitioning. It takes a second to be thinking about that in that way.
Definitely, because when I first saw the Dark Apostle and his 5-up invul, I was like, oh, dude, this is awesome on Cultist. But then I read it again and saw the Holy Within part, and I was like, oh, this is not as good because he's a small little dude as it is.
Yeah. I got a couple of buddies, obviously this is a popular new model, and I've seen this model shown to me in the store in just gray plastic version. And it doesn't look near as cool as yours, bro. The whole mid-air leap coming down on that Marine like that, in a great pose. You made that guy look like he's really alive, about to get wrecked by this guy. What inspired you? Like, did you have to do some interesting modeling to get him laying down like that?
No, actually, that is a GW model. They sell 3 Fallen Space Marines in a package. And that's one of the Fallen Space Marines. So he just happens to fit on a 20 or 32 mil base. And then I posed his Warp Talon claws onto the barrel, and that's where I fixed them.
That's badass.
Yeah, and it's really cool. But what's interesting is the Lord is like 5 different Chaos models. Like, he has the new Greater Possessed backpack to be his jump pack. He's using 2 of the new Space Marine parts, the torso, and then the sword from another dude, so he has that pose. He's using Warp Talon legs and a Warp Talon chain sword, and then he's got the champion for the bike's face, like his head.
Wow, damn, dude, I would have never known all that. I just knew it looked awesome. No wonder it doesn't look like the other ones I've seen. yeah, so he's all unique so that he could have that dynamic, like, I'm jumping to get you pose. Yeah.
And the Fallen dude, it's not so like the pose of the picture makes it look like he's attacking the dude laying down, but the idea is that dude's already dead and he's jumping over the screen.
Oh wow, that's awesome. Does he balance okay? Do you have to add some weight underneath the base?
No, he's all gravy, man. I don't know if
that's amazing.
Yeah, he's all good, but he definitely jumps over the guy.
Dude, he looks huge. He's way bigger than the regular model.
Oh, he's legit like Primera size.
They really should have made him look as cool as you made him look, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then got my Master of Possession. This is gonna be the first time ever using him. Haven't play tested this dude at all.
Also looks huge comparatively. I got some close-ups of that. Did you do some crazy modeling for him too?
Not necessarily him. He's all stock out of the box. It's just his base. I converted up a Bloodletter champion and green stuff sculpted flames with skulls so that it looked like he's being summoned.
Super cool, dude. Yeah, like just seeing those models and what you did to them, that makes me like want to care more about playing these things. I think other people will be pretty inspired to check out Chaos if they haven't yet. These new rules are sick, man. Speaking of, the new Vigilist stuff and whatnot, my buddy that runs Battlegrounds, he's been trying to theory craft some lists. I told him that he should get together with you for our next podcast episode. You guys would have a long conversation.
Dude, Chaos is real strong right now, but I've honestly been handicapping myself hard when it comes to list building because I'm trying to stay within that mono faction of Khorne.
Sure, which is awesome.
That's just the craziest restrictions anyone could. I personally feel can put on someone because you're not allowed to have any psychers at all. Yeah. So units and spells that you would normally use in Chaos armies gone completely. So they're not even an option.
Yeah.
And then you think about your best stratagems, like +1 invul, shoot twice, things like that. Those are gone immediately. It's like All I
you
have
can
is
warp
fight
surge
again.
corn though. You can warp surge corn, right? Yeah, you can give him +1 invuln with warp surge. You just can't do the psychic power 1,000 Suns have.
I can't warp surge them at all.
Yeah, you can warp surge blood.
Are you talking about my blood letters? Yes.
Yeah. That's what I meant.
But I'm not doing that because they deep strike in and they kill something and they die.
Respect.
I mean, they immediately die.
Yeah.
I have learned to play in waves so that I'm expecting them to die, but I'm only expecting them to kill so much, and then the next wave comes down while they're left themselves open. Because a lot of people can't handle that pressure, so they like seize opportunities, and it allows them to open up gaps. And when they open up those gaps, it allows me to get into shit that they did not want me to originally get into.
Yeah. Hey, James, I think Andrew Simmons is pretty stoked on your job there because he had to say in all caps, "Is the barrel drilled?"
Of course, all the barrels are drilled.
Nice. You got to.
I even drill the barrels that are in the holsters.
Oh, because it's just not near as cool if there's not a hole there. It takes you out of the narrative, right? Sucks you right out.
Dude, think about it. It's a gun. And the reason why they don't have a hole with a barrel is for like modeling purposes, as far as like making the molds. Like they can't have like that divot in there because of air and stuff.
Right.
It'd be way too difficult. So they are all like this flat plastic, and everyone just fucking leaves them as is. New Abaddon model, they have like dimples, but that's it.
Yeah.
The idea is you take a little hand drill and you drill it out, make it look like a damn barrel.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So I do that to all my dudes. Gotta have it. So like I was saying with those characters, I have a sorcerer on a bike that I converted years ago when I first got into the hobby, in 7th edition with the Black Legion Cabal.
Yeah.
So I had a couple of those bikes, but he's going to be sending up my master possession so I can summon Scarbrand. And I've actually put together and painted Scarbrand fairly quickly.
And you've had that guy forever.
Forever. Just because I wanted him. But this time, I'm playing with orcs. And he's the perfect addition to an orc army.
That's going to be so fun, dude.
Dude, that's what I'm thinking. It got me inspired to go all out with these characters. I mean, if I have time tomorrow, I'm probably going to like repaint my Black Legion Sorcerer just so that he matches these guys a little bit better. Because that's like, it's a Supreme Command with those 3 Black Legion characters that's going to summon Scarbrand. And then for my CP farm, I have a Changecaster, Corn Demon Prince with a badass axe, and then 3 units of Nurglings.
Okay.
So, like, that's what's coming in with all the boys.
Sounds badass. Just before we change subject, I'll mention what Will was talking about what his in the new books for Chaos. There's so many combinations. I know when you first were reading it, you were like, I don't know what to do. There's just so many options, right?
Yeah, it's a little overwhelming because there's so many combos. It's just a matter of which one's the best for you.
Right. So he's wanting to invest heavily into the Havocs and Obliterators, and he set himself up. I think that if I try to repeat it right, I think it was like this. It was 4 units of Havocs, two Obliterators, and just a Chaos Lord, and he was going to run them as Alpha Legion. And he wanted to, because I guess the Reaper autocannons or the new guns, the Reaper chain guns, you know, the ones that are only 1 in a box. What are those guns?
The awesomest of the awesomes.
Is it a Reaper autocannon?
Yeah,
Is that, okay.
It's a Reaper chain cannon. Yeah.
Reaper chain cannon. Okay, so this weapon's great, but apparently one of the downfalls is that it's only 24 inches. So it makes it difficult. You don't want to have to foot slog up the board. So what he was wanting to do is he had 2 that had 2 units were decked out with missile launchers, and they were going to sit in the back. And then he was going to use Alpha Legion to do forward operatives to get them up the board on turn 1, because apparently you make them Slanesh, you make them Alpha Legion, you give them forward operatives to get up the board and get in your 24-inch range, and if they happen to go second and you still want to utilize that, there's a tactic where you can shoot in the enemy's movement phase if you go second.
Yep.
So his idea was shoot them, and then of course, you know, you can shoot twice with stratagems as well. I guess those and Obliterators dropping in their face. He likes the delivery system of being able to get within his target range, and then he would just have Havocs with missile launchers in the back. So it sounded cool. I liked his idea. It sounded fun.
Yeah, it's been like, that was like the first thing a lot of people went to when they like shooty stuff.
Yeah.
I find it just too easy to counter, so it's not something I care about. I know it hurts a lot of people's feelings because Robles was so hyped on it too. But for me, I play with a bunch of cultists, so take your shots.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give you first turn because I prefer to go second. So that whole building that strat, don't care about. You're gonna move yourself up, cool. You're making my charge range shorter.
yeah. You
I
know,
like
you got me thinking just in general how there's a lot to talk about, in not that we need to go in detail now, but just about screens, like what a good screen is, and or just bodies in general. I've been learning a lot playing Sigmar, just how important bodies are. It's a very horde centric game. And typically, you know, you can have the big guys and then go in there and wreck face, but what ends up, you know, you sit there and try to take them down the whole game, but what ends up winning is the bodies that are on the objectives. And not only are they scoring, but then, you know, oftentimes providing great screens to block movement and to block the opponent from targeting what you don't want them to target. And so good screens like Nurglings and, you know, cultists, talking about things that either they're so cheap you don't care, or they're like expendable. Or or they have mechanics of coming back and just being kind of ongoing, or the staying power like plague bearers. I know it's a common a fundamental that people agree upon is that plague bearers are one of the best screening troop slots for chaos in the game, with their -1 to hit by nature when they're over 20, drop a miasma, pestilence, making a -2, toughness 4, 5 up with a 5 up invul and 5 up disgusting. You know, that's some serious staying power, you know. There's for somebody getting into the hobby for miniature wargaming, particularly in GW games, thinking about screens is a big fundamental to your play style and what your list may or may not need. You know, what's the right, because then it comes down to managing what's the right amount, right?
Yeah, no, see, that's the thing. You hit a key point right there, because my screen game has evolved to like another level again. And it's because I'm trying to make Khorne good again. I've realized like the different varieties of screens you can have. And sometimes it's just a matter of how long will it last.
Yeah.
So like I said, I come in waves now. Like sometimes my threat becomes my screen once I'm done with its initial action. So with my army currently, it's so paper thin but hits so hard that my troops are what hit hard and my characters end up buffing. But when it's all said and done and the game's over, they're mainly dead and they have a couple weak units left because their main juicy stuff died, where I just have characters spread out across the board where they needed to be. And now they don't have anything to take out my characters while they're still on objectives. Because my screen was just there for me to survive. Then I hit. And then then the next like wave is ready to survive, and then it hits. And then the next wave, and that's how it just keeps going. And it all comes down to like, all right, turn 4, no more reinforcements can come in, and I have this much left. They have this much left. Now my screen has already been where it needs to be, and I need to play my characters at Hero Hammer.
Yeah, and that's a funny mechanic of just that phrase you said there of often my offense then becomes my screen. That's exactly how flyers currently are operating, right? Where they fly up and wreck you in the face, and then they become a screen to you going to the units behind it.
Yep.
Which is one of the big talks of, that sounds like a almost surefire leaked FAQ that's going to drop, is the ability to now move underneath flyers as long as you don't end your move within 1 inch of them.
Which was quite interesting. The last Saturday's tournament I was at too. There was like 30 people there. Tony Capando won. People are very familiar with him. But he brought like a 5 Eldar flyer list that he just got. And he won easily, maxed every game. But now that list falls apart with that new FAQ that's going to drop.
Sure.
Rumored at least.
Right. But yeah, it's a part of the expectancy. The big, I've heard some interesting thoughts about some of the other things that will be going down. Like, I personally keep raising my hand on believing that they're going to do the same thing they did to Gene Stealer Cult, the same thing they did to Tau a long time ago, where they're only going to allow one of the same character in each detachment. So, you know, if you want 3 Demon Princes, you got to put them in 3 separate detachments. Can't put them in a Supreme Command. That's someone else mentioned though that maybe they're going to do the same thing they did with Gene Stealers with when they take Astra Militarum, where they only get half the CP. Wouldn't that be interesting if, you know, you take mixed detachments, anything that's mixed from the detachment that's not your, like say your Warlord is Khorne in a pure Khorne detachment, any other non-pure detachment would be half CP.
I'm cool with both of those things.
I'm down with both of them. I'd love it if
Yeah.
they did both of them, yeah.
Yeah, because like honestly, when I was at this tournament, I was so hindered. I won my first game very closely. Then my second game, I got smashed off the table. He had a list literally just dedicated to like beat something like mine. But then my third game, it was just kind of like easy breezy.
Yeah.
And it was just interesting because I only lost one game, but my army is so bad. Like coming up to the table, like they could easily beat me if they wanted to. Like any of them could have.
Yeah.
It's just they made flawed mistakes because I'm anti-meta. Like there's nothing else in the game that operates like how my list operates. So if they're not prepared for it, they fall into like little traps. It's not necessarily gotcha hammer.
Yeah.
It's just more of they're put in positions that if they haven't faced before,
Sure.
they typically make the wrong decision.
Yeah, I mean, if they're meta chasing and they're sitting there preparing to fight Knight and Guard and everything that, you know, is common to the tabletop right now in the meta, and then they haven't faced against that, then sure, you know, I know, like,
Yeah, well, they have the tools to smoke me.
Right.
Like the game I lost against, like he knew he had the tools. I knew he had the tools, and it's like, all right, let's see what happens.
And that comes
Where
down
other
to
people, it's like they had the tools, but like they
Right.
still had to know how I was going to play.
Target priority is huge, right?
Huge.
And that's where like the more like if you're going against someone where you play their army as well, like you play multiple factions or you go against a chaos player, you're more likely to be able to put up a stronger fight against that person because you know the way that their army operates, you know.
Yeah, that's why our buddy Matt has got my number the last 2 games. I mean, I was probably like 25-0 against him, and then he's got me the last 2 times because I have been hindering myself. That brought me down as far as like Army's power level, like no pun intended. And he just got my number, man. He knows how I play.
Sure.
He screens
Yeah.
me out. He knows now to play aggressive once I have my first wave hit so that he meets me there. So it's not like I can then push further into his force. He actually pushes into me, which still keeps me outside so
Yeah.
that I'm then weakened for 2 turns before I can ever get to the juicy stuff. And by that time, he can then pick me apart because he still has the power there.
Sure. You know, this is a good little segue here, James. This reminds me of what I've been experiencing with Age of Sigmar. So I've been playing it a buttload. I've literally been doing like 3 games a day, even 4 on a couple of days. Over the last 3 weeks, I've cranked out over like 25 games. I played in my first Age of Sigmar tournament last Sunday and actually got 3rd place. I went into round 3 in first and dropped down to 3rd after losing against Stormcast. But I'm experiencing that I'm playing for the first time. I'm learning how to play this game, but I'm going against my friends that have been playing it for quite a while. And I'm, you know, knowing 40K and knowing Tabletop Wargaming's GW, I'm able to craft, plus just using the internet and finding good methods, listening and putting combos together. I can make some painful, powerful lists on paper, but from the learning curve of target priorities, how other armies operate, and the nature of the mechanics of the game, I've lost well over the amount that I've won. The week that I played up till the tournament, I lost 7 out of 8 games, and then I went 2 and 3 in the tournament and almost won the thing. But it was only, I learned out of 7 defeats what I was doing wrong. We actually got a bunch of sweet bat reps that I posted. I just posted one a few minutes ago, posted one a couple of days ago, and that is the Age of Sigmar. It is Khorne versus Nurgle, and I've been playing my buddy Mike V's on Team America for Age of Sigmar, getting ready to go to the Europe for the ETC.
Shout out to Mike.
Yeah, so he's been giving me some great tips. He's been playing this Nurgle thrice blah detachment. I'll show you what it looks like. It's like 3 of the big fatties. It's like an exalted great unclean one, this guy that rings this bell and makes everybody go faster, and then this guy with this really annoying relic. So the Nurgle in Sigmar are crazy, man. They got these abilities that can make you reroll 6s to hit and reroll 6s to wound. So all of your mortal wound 6 damage stuff, or you do mortal wounds on 6s, he's constantly making you reroll those.
Oh, that's so gross.
And
That'd be
oh,
crazy mechanic to see in 40K.
it hurts, man. So it's like when I go in Age of Sigmar, there's not a lot of not a ton of hit modifiers, and you already hit pretty naturally at 4s. There's not a ton of 3+ hits. And so like if I'm 4s to hit and he creates a -1 to hit and then re-roll 6s, then I can only hit on a 5 and I got to re-roll my 6 and hope to get a 5 or a 6 after that. So like I'm slamming him with stuff that just kills things, and he's making me do so many re-rolls of my biggest hits and that I was like just not taking anything down, man.
Oh, dude, that'd be so gross. Like my Chain Lord, for instance, if it went against something like that where I'm looking for those 6s for those extra mortals, and you make me re-roll that, I would just give you a giant fuck you with no harm intended.
Yeah, it's serious business. So he shut me down. I played like 6 games with Mike, and I've lost all of them. But I'm learning a lot and learning how to deal with the mechanics of movement. It's one of the most interesting things that I'm learning is, just like 40K, the combat phase has so much depth. And you would love that part about Sigmar because there's so much more combat in the game, but the way that it operates is even more thought-provoking. Particularly because you go back and forth with combat. Even if you charge with like 6 units, instead of fighting with all your charging models, it always goes back and forth, right? So you may charge.
Frustrating.
It's pretty tricky, man, because you got to really decide who that first combat is, and the tactics are reduced. There's not near as much stratagem play, so there actually is no core tactic to override combat. So it like just happens. It just happens that way. Not to mention they could double turn you in Sigmar, and they could end up fighting you 2 times in a row before you get to operate the way you intended to.
Oof.
So screening and movement and the mechanics of the combat are extremely wild, especially because in order to, 1, there's only 1-inch coherency, so that's interesting. 2, if you break coherency in that game, then at the end of the battle round, you choose which half you want to keep, and the other half that's out of coherency is just gone. There's not any, you don't get to move that shit anymore. It's just fucking gone. If you lose coherency because of how you pulled your models, the other half of your force is gone. So that's nuts.
Damn.
Yeah, but then there's 3-inch activation. So if you're within 3 inches of something, you get to activate, pile in, and fight, right? Not to mention that combat's even more enhanced because close combat weapons have range. So some things have 2 or 3-inch range in combat. And another mechanic that I've been facing a lot against is impact damage. So things will charge into you, and before they even go to the fight phase, they do all this impact damage in the charge phase. And certain things do so many mortal wounds before you actually get to fight that they wipe what they charge and then pile into what's behind it.
I would love mechanics like that.
Oh, it's crazy. And like, so if you, against certain, like there's these guys that ride these giant woolly mammoths called the Beast Claw Raiders. And when they hit you, they do all these mortal wounds to you on the impact. Then they pile in their 3, and then they have 3-inch close combat weapons. So they have a 6-inch threat range from the pile in of the first unit they killed with the impact blows. So you gotta be like 6 inches behind the screen just to not get tagged by those guys with devastating blows. And here's another thing, James, this is the craziest shit, is that wounds spill over in Sigmar. So like the giant damaged weapons, like usually a big counter in 40K is like, oh, you got a las cannon? Well, you killed 1 guy, suck it. But in Sigmar, you do 6 damage on something, it just goes to 6 different models.
That's pretty gross.
It's serious. So the guys
that would make me want to play my bigger dudes more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the big guys will wipe units, and that's where Scarbrand is mind-blowing nuts, dude. I'm gonna pull up a picture of yours again. Hell, I'll throw up my new list. So this thing has been fun as shit, James. I've been playing this new Bloodthirster list, right? And it has Scarbrand and 3 other Bloodthirsters. It takes 1 of each. And in those, I just told you about how combat goes back and forth, but there's this battalion where if you take 3 to 8 Bloodthirsters, each Bloodthirster gets to fight in succession from the other. And so they don't have to have any range to each other. You could attack in 4 different places on the board, and they all 4 would get to fight before the opponent does. And that's a huge
mechanic. That's how I would want to do it, man.
Right.
Hell yeah.
Super sexy. But then also in the new Blades of Khorne book, we got a slaughter host ability, kind of like a legion trait, that lets demons, if you're wholly within 8 inches of the warlord or the general, you get to fight twice. So you can actually fight with, you could either not fight in succession and make all of them fight twice, and actually if you had enough command points, do 8 Bloodthirster combats before, which you turn 4 into 8 combats, which is just absurd. Or you can fight with 4 of them in succession, and the last one you fight twice with, and who you do that with is the Scarbrand. And here's the nutty thing about Scarbrand, dude. So if Scarbrand and Sigmar doesn't fight on a turn, then the next turn he gets to fight as if he's maximum pissed. So you know Scarbrand gets way better the more wounds he takes, right?
Yeah.
Well, in Sigmar, if he didn't fight on a turn, he fights as if he took his maximum amount of wounds before he dies. So he gets maximum profile, right?
Yeah, because he's not in combat. He's pissed off about it.
Right, and one of the craziest things is that the more pissed he is, the easier this is to do. But his roar, when he roars at something, is his range attack. Which, by the way, you can do ranged combat when you're in combat. You can shoot things. There's no not shooting in combat. You can shoot into combat. You can shoot when you're in combat.
That's dumb.
There's not many guns. There's not many guns though, right? So whenever he does his roar, normally when he's at full wounds and not pissed off, it takes a 5 up to get it off. If you roll a 5+, then you do 8 mortal wounds right then and there.
Oh, shit.
Before you even do your 3 damage close combat attacks. But if you roll a 6, you do 16 mortal wounds.
Wow, that's pretty solid.
You can fight twice with them. So if you roll a 6 twice, you do 32 mortal wounds before they even fight you. Absurd. Okay, so if you fight twice, so if he gets pissed, so you don't fight with him turn 1, you fight with him turn 2, he automatically gets that off on a 1+. So no matter what, you do 8 mortal wounds. You fight twice with him, no matter what, you're doing 16 mortal wounds. If you roll a 6, add 8 to it. So he just wipes hordes out. He wrecks, like the big fatty I just showed you. I could not even kill one of these big fatties, and he can just wipe one in a single blow. So he's a freak on a leash. Now in Sigmar, they only have 14 wounds and a 4-up armor save. So the armor saves and things of that nature, you got to get a little used to. Demons also in Sigmar only, they have leadership 10. That's one of the interesting things that they're different in that game, is they have a very high bravery or leadership. But man, it has been super fun to run all these Bloodthirsters, and basically the move is that I'm getting, I've already made a trade deal where I'm going to get 60 mortals called Blood Reavers, and they're going to be my screen, my horde, the bodies that I need to help mitigate the elitism of the army. So there's some news there, but what I've been playing before that was when I played at that tournament, I'm super stoked to show that I just got new bases for my old school Blood Crushers. I was running all these guys on the old school square bases. My buddies here at the shop are just super cool. Just like I got hooked up with a sweet dice necklace. One of my friends here just surprised me with making me these awesome bases for my models and rebased them for me and everything. So couldn't be more, that's a really great friend. I was super stoked. I was so stoked to get them all rebased that I set up all my corn shit on the table. So take a look at this Age of Sigmar horde here of corn. You can see the Hexagora skulls, the new judgments. And what I thought was funny is you add a Lord of Skulls and a Brass Scorpion and voila, 40K. So there's a look at my corn forces there, working with 120 bloodletters, which is pretty much what I'm using in my 40K version of my corn army. Yeah, 4 bloodthirsters and 18 skull crushers or blood crushers. Unfortunately, in Sigmar, you're going between, when you're playing Chaos, you choose between playing Mortals or Demons or a combination. And you get special benefits if you go pure Mortals, pure Demons, and less if you combination up, you know?
So no corn Heldrakes?
Oh yeah, I don't have them with me. I have more stuff. I just don't have them here at the shop. Respect to that, though. But yeah, having a great time. What's he say? Yep, Tyrants of Blood is what they're called. Tau Dark knows. Good to see you, Tau Dark. Council of Blood, Tyrants of Blood. Yeah, it used to be called Council of Blood. It is extremely powerful, though. But it takes a lot of finesse. You know, you're playing with an elite force. It's really cool because each of the Bloodthirsters, they all provide a different ability. One lets you give 16-inch aura of reroll charges. Another one's, this is the best part, James. One is a 16-inch aura of activate and pile in at 6 inches instead of 3. So what's sick is that gives you almost like an advance and charge mechanic, because you can actually run or advance to get within 6 inches and get to activate and not even have to charge where normally you couldn't. And it also stops them from getting to activate against you, because you can stay out of their activation range and still activate against them.
Oh, that's pretty clever.
It's pretty damn potent, man. But
that's cool.
It's fun as hell. Scarbrand doesn't give everyone extra attacks in that game. He just gives everybody a bunch of mortal wounds to the face.
Well, that's pretty cool. But the way I'm playing them is a lot cooler with orcs.
I enjoy playing them in 40K. Honestly, Bloodletters are way better in 40K than they are in Sigmar.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're more...
Bloodletters are definitely awesome in 40K.
They are.
But they can suck.
They can.
Like, they go against the wrong target, and it's just like, oh, no.
But yeah, I actually have a bat rep on the channel where I played in the last 40K tournament. I took down 3 knights with them.
Oh, yeah, dude, they eat knights all day.
They will, especially with Scarbrand, especially fighting twice. You know, that stuff helps a lot. But yeah, you know, just speaking of Sigmar / Chaos / getting James back in on the action, let's talk about a little Slaanesh. We got a lot of Slaanesh additions coming to the world. Just to show the tail off of Sigmar here, they got some really sweet endless spells as far as just how they look. I haven't been studying the rules very much. I know James is only partially in. Something that's going to transfer over to both, I'm sure, just like they did with the Skull Altar for Khorne. They got a sweet terrain piece. I think it's a brilliant marketing move by GW to give each faction their own terrain piece and make it almost an auto take.
I know, it makes me want to own them.
Yes, it makes the board look cooler. It's showing, you know, it making the hobby more immersive, and it's
that's so cool.
And they're dope. Yeah, I mean, that's a very sick piece right there. I decided, James, I gotta play Slaanesh, dude. I'm gonna sell whatever I don't have this Chaos. I'm selling it, and that's the only thing I want to add to my collection is I want all 4 Chaos gods. I pretty much maxed out on Nurgle and Tzeentch and Khorne. I need Slaanesh.
Dude, I'm a big fan of the Slaanesh. Like, it makes me want to start it, even though I'm a Khorne player. It just seems so cheesy cheap. Like, why can't Khorne have all these cool tools? Like, have you seen the new Herald Demon Prince?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, have you seen his rules?
You're talking about the one with the harp, right?
No. Nope.
Oh, man. I just know that big-ass guy that looks like the Keeper of Secrets.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a new named character. A new named Keeper of Secrets. He's pretty cool. He does neg 1 to hit and neg 1 to wound. And then on his 6s to wound, they do flat 6 damage instead of just d6. He's pretty dope. But let's see, in this big picture, can I make out the Demon Prince?
I think in the one in the bottom right on the one I just posted, it may not have caught up with you yet. Showing the demonettes in the image.
I don't know, man. It's a big. It looks like a mortal. He's a big, tall, mortal-looking dude with a big hammer.
Oh, maybe not.
Or axe, maybe, or maybe it's a bull axe. I don't know. But he has like a herald on top of him.
Oh, wow.
So he is a legit Demon Prince herald. So he has the reroll 1s bubble like a Demon Prince has, and he has the +1 strength bubble like a herald has. He is under 10 wounds. He has basically all the stats of a Demon Prince, except for attacks. He gets 8 attacks, and he doesn't have wings, so he goes like 8 inches. But he has 8 attacks, but he has 2 weapons. Okay, he has a whatever the poleaxe thing is, and then a whip. So the way his rules work is when he gets into combat, he picks one of the weapons, swings all 8 attacks with that weapon into a unit.
Okay.
And then whatever else he charged, like declaring targets, he has to declare the targets. But then he can pile into another unit and swing with the other weapon all 8 attacks.
Whoa.
Now he doesn't get to consolidate further. He only gets 1 consolidate.
Okay.
But he still gets 2 swings. Now the caveat is it has to be 2 separate units, and he has to declare the charge in both units. Now if it's the second round of fighting, he can now swing on any unit that he consolidates into. So swings 1 weapon, can then consolidate into another, and swing again. And because he's a herald or a Slaanesh dude, he always gets to fight first.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
And then, let's say for some reason he piled himself into something else. There's the psychic power, hysterical frenzy, that you can then cast on him. 18-inch range, by the way, that allows him to fight again.
Okay.
If he's under 200 points, you will see him across mini tabletop.
I would say so. He sounds like a badass.
Well, not only that, but if you bring a pure Slaanesh Herald attached, or Slaanesh, I keep saying Herald, I don't know why. Slaanesh Demon attachment, you get their loci. You know what their loci is, right?
No.
It's advance and charge.
Oh, okay, sure. Why not?
A giant advance and charge bubble. Now we're doing mono factions, right? That's the big thing in ITC right now. I'm going pure corn. So with these mono factions, you now bring a Lord Discordant, Mauler Fiends. Lord Discordant, you bring that new specialist detachment that gives him a Warlord trait. That Warlord trait gives you a 2-inch extra movement bubble. So with Heralds being able to advance and charge, him giving Mauler Fiends 12-inch movement, advance and charge because of their Slaanesh Herald bubbles. They're all Slaanesh demons. You could have something just screaming across the board while you have Havocs and Obliterators shooting twice.
Yeah, that's the fun thing about Chaos now, from what I'm hearing, is just the versatility of play and getting to kind of really accent the way you want to play most. If you want to be all shooty, you can. If you want to be close combat with demon engines, you can mix bag it. You can go all in.
Before these Slaanesh demons started dropping, I mean, by far the strongest is Nurgle. Close second was Tzeentch.
Yeah.
And then you had Slaanesh and Khorne sitting at the bottom. Now you have Slaanesh rising above Tzeentch, in my opinion, because of all these new units, all these new rules. I mean, Emperor's Children always get to fight first, and then you bring the Master of Execution with the stratagem that every time you kill a model, you get to generate another attack. It can go crazy, dude. Like he could literally put out 90 wounds into a unit.
Wow.
By himself. It's clearing hordes. Just any horde unit can clear. And then you have this Demon Prince dude running around just playing ping pong, going into one unit to another. And then you have just demon engines screaming across the field. And then you have shit that's shooting twice that's like can just blast anything. And like this all fits into a 2,000 point list. No problem.
Yeah, dude, Slaanesh's kit is definitely looking sick. It got me thinking too. One, just the fact that we're going over the 40K rules when a lot of the presentation is also what they have in Sigmar. I think it's cool that we're kind of seeing a precedence of how they really are doing good at presenting it to both the Sigmar and 40K crowd at the same time. It often feels like when you get a release, it's either 40K or Sigmar, and the other half of the crowd doesn't care. But it's really cool how everyone gets a piece of the pie, including, I don't know if you knew this, James, but 30K, its story has evolved to introduce demons to it. So I actually got 30K players trying to talk me into playing now.
Oh, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Black Tower also mentioned, what I forgot to mention, is the whip that gets the 8 attacks on that new Herald Demon Prince, dude. It's D3 attacks per attack.
Nice. Yeah.
Dude, think about that, dude. That dude's putting out like 20-something attacks if he's charging multiple units.
I want it in my life.
And that's with no buffs, dude. That's just natural.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. Well, dude, I'm excited. That sounds fucking-tastic.
Yeah, it makes me want to betray Khorne and get a Slaanesh army and go monofaction with Slaanesh because I can handle it to people. But I feel like I'm playing on expert mode. I enjoy playing my Khorne. And all this shows me is Khorne's next, bro.
Exactly, yeah.
All their 1,000 Suns. Nurgle just got all their.
Don't get rid of Chaos. Chaos must be strong.
Dude, I have a feeling Khorne's getting new Berserkers and some heat.
Hell yeah, dude. No, I just moved. When I first started collecting, and for years I said I'd never get rid of any of my shit, and I've actually moved like 3 or 4 armies over the last year and a half to keep myself afloat while doing Warp Charge full time. And somebody was trying to buy my Scabathrax, he painted me up, but I was like, fuck no, man, I'm not moving on that ever. I can't get rid of any Chaos stuff. I even have like 9 Exalted Flamers and the Rule of 3 came out, it just totally killed that.
Oh, yeah.
I'd probably get rid of some Exalted Flamers if anybody wants to trade Slaanesh.
The thing is like, the Rule of 3 is you can only have 3 in your list, but you can keep summoning those motherfuckers.
That's true. Good call.
Like, you can summon the shit out of those and just roast somebody if you wanted to play that game.
And the main thing is their characters, which is just awesome.
Oh, dude, you're telling me. Oh, man. I'm in like 5 minutes until I got to get the hell out of here.
Totally, man.
Because do you guys know what tonight is? Well, technically tomorrow is. Dude, Endgame, bro.
Yeah.
Endgame. I'm about to go see Tony Stark snap his fingers and make Thanos disappear. I haven't seen the movie, so I can't say that's a spoiler. I might have been spoiled. I don't know. I can't say it's a spoiler. I might be a fucking genie that can predict the future.
Right.
But
who knows?
I'm gonna watch that shit.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about that here at Battlegrounds. Well, I think it's been a good episode, man. Episode 52, a year deep. Patreon coming soon, where we're going to have all kinds of awesome giveaways backed by Battlegrounds to be able to give you guys some sweet, real deal gear. First starting off with a Painted Gilliman by James. We'll see that showing soon. We're doing a ton of tournaments, Tournament League for both 40K and Kill Team. We're moved up to doing Age of Sigmar every month, doing an Age of Sigmar tournament. I thought I had the flyer to that. It's coming right up, though. Oh, here it is. Blam, May 25th, so that's going down. I hope anybody that's around the area, come on down. If you feel like traveling, let's make it. It's going to be worth it. Let's just say that. If there's anything to travel for, hell, we might even see James come all the way from Chicago for the Battle in the Warp First Crusade. Warp Charge Gaming's first major tournament, partnered with Coastal Wargaming based out of Norfolk, Virginia Beach area. 32 tables, James, 64 people, cannot wait. Best Coast Pairing ITC official, season 2. It's gonna be just amazing. Yeah, all these things are great. Battlegrounds rules. Big shout out to our homies that have helped us get to where we are. World's Overrun, Best Coast
Definitely
Pairing.
a glory hole. I told you Chris is bringing it.
Yeah, we're gonna have a glory hole. Death Ray Design, I came out of you, and Crystal Fortress. It's all really sweet, and I really appreciate everybody. It was cool to see Andrew on the chat. Don't mind the glory hole, Black Tower. Don't mind the glory hole. Tau Dark, always good to see you, brother. Black Tower, always cool to see you too, my friend. All is dust, jumping in for the first holler out. It has been a good episode, man. I can't wait for next week and everything to come in the future. What do we say, James?
Keep taking fun seriously, guys.
That's right. Peace, y'all. See you next time.